Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Jacalyn. Take charge of your life personally, financially, and professionally. Visit drjacalyn.com to book an appointment today.
Happy New Year and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating here on Business Talk Radio and social media. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am a certified life and career coach. And with me today are two fabulous people. We are going to make this a very enjoyable episode because it's all about kissing. Welcome to the program, Mr. Al Cini and Ms. Lisa Manyoky.
I've been wondering why I'm here. I finally figured it out. I asked you if I could watch, but I don't think you understood the question.
Watch what?
Exactly. You guys look beautiful.
Well, thank you.
You're in our holiday bling.
Yes, you
and I think the holiday calls for that. And you both look just great. And are we really going to talk about dating on this program? Is that really what this is going to be about?
A wise Al once told me.
Oh my God.
Wise Al, you have killed stuff.
Here we go.
But it's all about kissing, right? Kissing is so important. I thought it would be great to talk about that.
I think that whole idea that people just don't know how to do it, and I mean we had a little bit of a run up to this conversation.
Yeah, we did.
We talked a little bit about how things can go wrong in that department, and I think this is a public service announcement for all of you out there who might be planning an attempt along those lines. You might want to do a little bit of practicing with your sister or whatever. But there are plenty of YouTube videos, one of which we have for the show.
We actually do.
Did you really?
And we have a comment. Here it is.
What up? Yeah.
That's a deal breaker for sure.
Right, before you get somebody in. I have no idea whether I'm any good at it, but I've heard stories about people who are not good at it, and they're pretty horrifying.
Yeah, and how do you tell somebody, wow, that was really bad?
You can't. The only thing you can do is just never invite them back or never go out with them again.
Yeah.
So they'll never know that they have this kind of kissing impediment.
Yeah.
When you have drool coming down your side of your face, I think they might realize that's an indication they're not so good, right?
Or blood. Or bloodshed. I had the biter once, and I was like, I'm getting blood. And I said, did you just bite me? He said, yeah, I like to bite. I said, maybe you could have given me a heads up because I really don't like that. I like to bite my food, but I don't like other people biting my face. It was very weird.
You got bit?
Bitten.
Bitten. Well, like, not smitten, but bitten, which is definitely wrong.
Not smitten. I drew blood. Okay. That's just weird.
That's a pretty bad sign. I'd say that's a sign that he was a little bit too. Did you know it was going to happen like that? Or did it just
as soon as I tasted blood, I thought, I'm not making this up. I mean, I've got some sensory clue here, bloodshed.
We've got a fan out there. Al is right. Don't go out
with them again. That's how you do it. You don't want to have to coach people through it. I mean, just because it didn't work out on a date doesn't mean they have to become a client. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. You don't want to spend that much time with them anymore. But that does raise a question. What if the guy kind of moves in to make the move, to do the kiss thing, and you don't want to? What do you do? How do you know? Oh, you turn your face.
Yeah, you give him the cheek.
You say plant one right over here.
Or you give him a big old bear hug.
Yeah.
And that means good night.
Or you give him
that means signing off forever.
Depends on how aggressive or
And how quickly into a date do you know that if this guy leans in and for a kiss, you know you're going to give him the big bear hug? I mean, how quickly do you know it's not going to work?
No.
Well, here's the thing. We've talked about this before, and different people have different opinions. I think it's about the chemistry. And if you feel there's chemistry before there's actually any physical connection, then I think you want to find out what it's like. And it's really, there's a lot of buildup, right? For you think it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and sometimes it's not what you think it's going to be. Mm-mm. Sometimes it's this.
That's yeah. There's a guy without a dental plan.
Hello. Hello.
That's I didn't realize that Predator has like a little lip bling going on over there. I mean,
I thought he was a biter.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that would be a problem. I could see that. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about kissing. I looked it up on YouTube, and apparently there are 18 different types of kisses.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't watch the rest of it.
How many different kinds?
18.
So
there are 18?
There's a peck.
Oh, okay.
Little peck. Then there's like the little rub your lips against someone, whatever that's called.
Yeah. Then
there's the make out kiss. Then there's the kiss where the whole. I have a story to share. No names, of course. But I went out with this guy, really good looking. We had chemistry, and we actually were friends. And I thought it would be great if something more happened. So finally, he goes to kiss me, and it was just like this. It was like his whole head was going to my mouth.
I bet $10 on that guy in the third race last week.
And he had your head clamped, right?
I couldn't move.
See, that's another thing. I mean, are you supposed to reach out and grab the face of the person you're kissing? I mean, is that a good move?
I think that's another kind of kiss.
Yeah, that's the tender, TV.
Yes.
It's nice. It's nice, but it has to fit the guy, because if they're doing it where it's tactical, where they just have watched so much TV and said, "Oh yeah, this is."
You feel like you saw this on television, you want to try it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then it just doesn't.
These are people on Facebook who've been there.
Yes.
Or afraid to go there.
We do have a clip, which I think we should play, and then we can really get into it because
is it the instructional clip?
Yes, it's how to kiss. So thanks to Mr. Cini for sending this in.
My pleasure to turn these things in.
Let's take a look.
Steps to learn how to kiss. Are you worried about how to kiss? Do you have little experience and do you think you do it wrong? Quiet, nobody gives movie kisses the first few times. Kisses are so important that scientific studies claim that they help us choose a partner. Kisses convey different emotions, tenderness, affection or passion. A scientific study carried out by Vlodsky and Dunbar, 2013, concluded that kisses play a fundamental role in choosing a potential partner. While kissing, the first approaches, both romantic and sexual, are expressed to the couple. According to these scientists, the abundance of kisses between two people predicted that they could become a couple more than any other sexual practice. 1. Go slowly, do not overwhelm. Just by applying this first step, you're already on your way to giving wonderful kisses. Kissing is like a symphony, it starts smoothly and then the intensity increases. Kiss slowly, caress her lips, do not treat the other person abruptly. If you show anxiety or abruptness when kissing, it is possible the other person feels rejection or discomfort. Start slowly caressing the other person's lips with your own and perceive the signals that the other person emits. 2. Practice. It does not need to be with a person, and this point is important. Remember that with practice you reach perfection. If we talk about kisses starting gently, remember when someone gives you a soft hand or when they squeeze it. The same thing happens with kisses. Use your hand to brush your lips, kiss one of your hands and perceive the intensity of your kisses. The same, sometimes you think are soft and are too sharp in reality. 3. We return to the signals of the first step. Among those signals, do you perceive that her lips are parted in contact with yours? If this happens, the thing is going well, but do not rush. Do not put your tongue in the other person's mouth yet. Keep fiddling with her lips while you caress them. Let the other person want that contact even more. When caresses lengthen, manage to increase the desire, and this is what we seek, right? 4. If you follow step 3, there will come a time when your tongues will meet. The kiss now grows in intensity. When you introduce your tongue, but do not do it sharply, it is not about looking like an anteater. Use your tongue to caress the lips and the tongue of the other person. Think about what the other person evokes and use your lips and your tongue to transmit it. Keep in mind the feedback you receive from the other if she responds to your kiss and uses her lips and tongue to fiddle with yours. The kiss must be something of 2. 5. Involve your whole body. The kiss is not just lips and tongue, the whole body has to contribute. For example, surround the other person's body with your arms, caress her face while you're kissing her or caress her hair. All these gestures contribute to transmitting love, tenderness, and passion. 6. Make the other feel special. For example, stop kissing her for a moment and looking her in the eye. Bring your lips closer to her and let her notice your breathing. Look for her hands and touch them or gently pull her lips softly. It's not about giving her a bite. Have these steps been useful to know how to kiss?
It's not terribly. And,
quick lesson.
I think a kissing video that starts out with what scientists say about kissing is probably not going to head you in a very productive direction.
But it did mention an anteater and not biting.
Yes, it did.
It said something about fiddling with your partner's lips. Keep fiddling until it works. I don't understand. Is that like rabbit ears on an old television set?
Doesn't sound good.
Adjusting until the picture comes through. I just think that's such a trip.
I want to know when it's appropriate to go from the, I don't know what type of kiss this is, where your lips meet, to having a tongue inserted into your mouth. When does that take place? If anybody's out there watching on social media and has
when is the right time to try the French kiss thing? You mean when is
French kiss?
What is the cue that you get that tells you that it's okay?
Well, what I found was over time, when I was younger, you would have to gradually move on to the French kiss. But then as I got older, it seemed like the French kiss was after hello. Hi.
What? Oh my God! It's like a bad dinner at an oyster bar.
What?
Like a bad dinner at an oyster bar. There you go, Mr. Ed.
Hello.
And then,
Yeah.
then there's the ones where their tongue.
Because you guys are doing the complaining, right? Because you guys are doing the complaining. It's always us that screw it up. Apparently, it's always the guy that does it wrong. I mean, women never get kissing wrong, do they?
Oh yes, they do. But I've never kissed a woman.
I
have buddies who said, "Oh my gosh."
I just wanted to type up and say that both parties are equally guilty at this.
Definitely. I have buddies who have said, "Oh, she was just a horrible kisser." You know, you feel like, think about it when you put a plug on a drain and it's like and then you can't move. It's like that's just nasty. Right. Locked.
What about the windshield wiper kiss? Nee.
What is that that's going back and forth like that?
That's a tongue.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's like the dentist sent the person. They're doing an exam. You didn't use your tongue cleaner.
Or the snakes, where it's like dark. What is that? Like commit?
I don't know why.
Oh God!
Anybody viewing or listening, we have not had any champagne.
None.
This is pure humor at all.
It's the end of the year. It's the end of the year. You know who I wish was on here with us today as a guest is Janice Spindell, because she has a lot of good advice about these types of things. Janice, if you're out there, we'd love you to comment. I don't think she's out there though, but she will be tomorrow. She's on the show tomorrow. So let's go back to, when is it appropriate to go from the basic kiss to the French kiss? Panel, what are your thoughts? Let's go to Lisa Manyoky. Lisa.
I think you just kind of know. I mean, it's not like you meet, shake hands, and smooch. You're going to have a conversation, and then you'll feel if, we get along pretty well. We're enjoying each other's company. It should just flow. If it has to be timed or practiced, I don't know. Don't you think it just kind of flows?
I think that when you're really very conscious of either getting a tongue or giving a tongue, you're probably thinking about it so much it's not going to work out when you do it. I think Lisa's right. I think it has to be the kind of thing that evolves from whatever else is going on. And if it doesn't, then it's going to feel unnatural, and it's going to feel maybe even threatening a little. And it'll ruin the rest of the night, because now how do you unkiss that kiss? How do we deal with the rest of the evening? If you know what I mean.
I do. So how about this question? Before the first kiss, let's say you're at a restaurant and now the evening is coming to an end, and you're going to do that awkward moment, if you came in different cars, where you're going to stand in the parking lot. This is pre-COVID. Do you go into the bathroom and brush your teeth? Do you pop in and mince?
I never did.
Gee, I don't know. I wouldn't think so. But I guess it kind of depends. Now, it's the end of the dinner, right?
Yeah, you've got that garlic breath.
What did you have to eat?
You had those onions.
I think
while you're eating them, I'm looking at you thinking, really?
I think, at least maybe slugging down a glass of water probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But I mean, that could be. Have you ever had a horrible experience of somebody who should have brushed their teeth before they tried to kiss you?
Oh, yeah. Something died in there.
Wow.
Definitely.
Or just bad teeth. I mean, I remember meeting up with one guy and I thought, your teeth look like a war zone. I didn't mean to be rude, but
See, now that gets us into a whole other area, though. I mean, if you meet these people on Match.com, you're supposed to know about some of that stuff.
oh no. Ow. Filters, Photoshop. There was one man. Oh, this is just so terrible. So I said he did not appear attractive to me, and his photos were very fuzzy. So I sent him a note. He was kind of far away too.
Mhm.
I said, listen, you might want to think about getting some new pictures that really show your face because yours are really fuzzy. This guy went out and had a professional photo shoot taken.
Seriously?
And yes, and in a week he came back. He said, "See, now you can see me. Is this any better?" And I said, "Well, good luck with your search." And he said, "You are very kind." I wasn't doing it for me, but I mean, when the guys and women do it too, put fuzzy pictures up, you don't get a fair representation of who they are, and when they show up, well, there's this little shock value. Going from 2D to 3D is quite a discrepancy. So,
that's a good point.
So you really should be on Match.com or eHarmony. You should be full disclosure. They should be naturally lit, naturally taken photographs of you that are authentic. And by the way, having been off the market for a while, when you go on Match.com, does it start with a phone call or do you meet in person first?
You can email.
Yeah.
You email.
So you don't get on the phone and talk to each other before you meet.
Well, you have to have, no, you definitely can talk on the phone, but the person has to give their phone number and, hey, why don't you give me a call? And
do they usually, or do they just say, let's just get together over coffee?
No, I've usually spoken to the people before.
I always talk first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people are really good writing, and some people really like to write or text, and they just stay in print forever. And I'm like, oh, that's not happening. And then I say, look, if I have to give too many directives to say, I say when I've had online dating profiles, I prefer to talk instead of text. So there's no mystery about my preference right out of the gate. But some people, they just keep on writing and writing and writing. And I prefer if they say, listen, would you like to talk? Because then it shows they've read my profile and they recognize that that's preference. Now, I've had some people who their notes are great, and then you get them on the phone and it's like pulling teeth and pregnant pauses and or you talk way. I timed one guy 45 minutes. I was just thinking, I'm just going to let him go. 45 minutes. I didn't say a word. And I said, well, that was a lecture, a monologue, and I prefer dialogue. He said, what do you mean? I said, do you breathe between sentences or what, bud? I mean, he didn't stop talking.
So did you meet this person?
No,
that was it.
So you short circuit it there. You just say, look, I don't think this is going to work. And you just don't agree to meet.
Yep.
After that. So that's the normal progression. You start with whatever you see in a profile online and you express an interest in some way, and each system, I guess, has a different way of doing that. Then you get together for a text or exchange written messages. Then you get together on a phone call. And after all that, you can still get a horrible experience when you actually meet face to face.
Yep.
Even after all that.
Nothing is nothing until you're sitting across the table from somebody in person, because you get to see how they walk, how they sit. Now, when we were talking about the show in advance, I was telling you one guy, he didn't like to, he put in his profile that he wouldn't do anything that involved mastication. I made him change the word. He didn't want to go anywhere that he had to eat.
That was me, Lisa.
Oh wow.
It's my eHarmony profile.
Use your own pictures, Buster.
It's horrifying. So he didn't want to go out to eat, is another word of
fidgets with these utensils. So, if you see a guy who's, or a woman who's thumping their leg all the time, it might clue you into that they're a nervous personality. Or if they slouch, or, I went out with somebody who reminded me of that commercial. You look very comfortable. The guy's collar, the shirt,
stretched out.
What are you thinking, buddy? I mean, you're meeting and come on.
I met a guy, he was from right outside New York, and he drove down to Cherry Hill, and he met me at a restaurant, and he showed up.
Oh, you froze, Doc.
She froze.
I hate when that happens.
Yes, I'm still here.
Good.
Yes, I'm still here.
We couldn't do this without you. So you were in Cherry Hill.
So the guy drove from New York, just under New York, to meet me in Cherry Hill, and he showed up at the restaurant wearing a sweatsuit. He actually, the gray pants with the elastic around, and I was all dressed up, and I thought, oh, okay, but I didn't judge him. I just asked him if he was going for a run, or if he was planning on having dinner with me, or he was going running. So.
That was it. I mean, he drove straight from New York to where he was meeting you in Cherry Hill, and he still had on the sweatpants he wore to drive down from New York.
Exactly. I said, did you just come from a marathon? I mean, what were you doing before you got here? So,
Wow.
So that didn't work out too well.
Well,
no, I had one guy show up in like a guinea tee, the white, what do they call them? The skinny t-shirts, just the tank top. And he had a really hairy chest. So it was creeping out of here and through his arms. And he had on the crucifix with the Manyoky, the little Italian thing. So proceeded. He goes, so did you see my car? I said, I've never met you before. I don't know what your car looks like. I thought, what do I care? But he talked about this other woman who he took on a date for the whole time and how drunk she got and how he picked her up over his shoulder and put him in the front seat of his car and brought her into her apartment and undressed her and tucked her on the...
Oh, she's frozen.
Oh,
I'm here.
I'm still here.
I'm here too.
I'm here.
Okay.
Well, this might be a good time to go to a commercial break.
Well, no. But
she's on.
Almost finished.
Okay, so I said to him, you know what I think you should do, buddy? And he said, what's that? I said, I think you should leave right now and go call that girl because you really like her. And he did.
No kidding.
Did?
No, he wasn't there. He was not my guy, And he goes, you know what? I think you just might be right. So he went. Good.
Wow.
Profiles. What about profiles where the woman is in a bathing
suit? Whoop. Froze.
I know. We're having some technology issues there.
I know. Everything is when the woman was in a bathing and
Yeah. So what about the profiles where the man is without a shirt and the woman is
you mean like a Baywatch kind of a thing? Jacalyn, I think that frozen look that we have of you right there is exactly what you want to put in your profile picture. There's a frozen shot of you right there, typical internet shot, and that's exactly what you should have on Match.com. Well, sort of like that, but no.
I am not on Match.com because I'm not looking to meet anyone. I am focusing on my career.
And I think you should, and you're doing a wonderful job at that, which is great.
But the bikini and bathing suit shots, I mean, some people really like them, or the gym shots where the guy's got the muscle up.
Yes.
I think the ones where they're holding the fish they just caught is even worse, though.
Wait a minute. Have you seen a picture of a guy who is holding a fish he just caught, and that was
big fish?
Yeah,
on the hook, in front of them, and I'm thinking, okay, why?
So this is the peacock feather version of a fisherman, right? This is how we attract a mate, by holding up these gigantic fish that we wrestled from the ocean and killed.
Yeah,
and that gets you all excited and makes you want to build a nest with him.
I don't get it, but it never appealed to me much. Or the bicep shots, I don't care.
So what works best is just be you, put it out there, see what happens. Don't take it too seriously. I mean, does that sound right?
Yeah, just have fun with it.
Have fun.
And
be safe. I remember this was really disturbing. This was at one time when I was doing online dating and I actually disappeared from it. I got a message from a guy who had pictures of, when you're in grade school and you get your picture taken and they put Olin Mills or some type of Life Touch, it's instant Boston on the photo.
Oh yeah.
There was a name embossed in this guy's photo. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. You're actually putting your name. I looked it up. And the guy's name who was on this photo was someone who had gone into a Lucille Roberts and shot a whole bunch of women. He was a criminal and, he executed. And I got scared and I thought, it was really intimidating. So there are sometimes, there's, you stay anonymous until you really believe that the person is who they say they are and that you're going to be safe if you share your personal information with them.
Wow.
Good points, Lisa. Very good points. We need to take a commercial break, and we will return on.
If you say so.
I'm in charge of the board here.
By all means.
I was looking for my friend to see what he had to say, but he's gone, the Al. Anyway, we will take a break. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating, and today's special edition is it's all about the kiss.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Bye.
I'm terrible.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn here on Business Talk Radio and live on social media. I am joined today on our program, It's All About Dating, Mr. Al Cini and Ms. Lisa Manyoky. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Great to be back. And I'm learning so much.
So today we're talking about how to kiss, and it's all about kissing and kisses that are good, kisses that are not so good. We've had a few laughs from some really crazy memories that we've had. Maybe it was just me. I don't know.
This one's I don't know if maybe that's artificial respiration happening. I don't know if that's exactly.
This is where someone tries to put their entire mouth, their teeth, everything in your mouth.
That's what they did with the horse's head after The Godfather.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
And then we had this, which is what kind of kiss would you say this was?
Oh, definitely the biter.
That's the predator, yeah. the guy that unintentionally draws blood, or maybe intentionally.
And by the way, you mentioned this before, Lisa, but I like how there's that little charm on there. That's kind of unique, isn't it?
That little bling.
That's because he was so aggressive. He snagged one of my earrings.
Could be that earring.
She wants it back. Give it back to her.
Listen, so if you want it to work, the kiss has got to be an organic, natural, comfortable thing. It can't be something that's rehearsed or practiced or.
Well, we saw that video, and the video said to practice.
Well, they said try to get it down before you. I mean, you don't want to try it live with somebody you're trying to impress. You probably.
Who are you practicing with, by the way? I mean,
the video actually, if you slowed it down, they said practice on your hand. You don't know.
Oh, I love you. I love you.
I mean, that's assuming your hand isn't busy doing something else. But yes, that's a practice on your hand.
Okay, that's another show.
But that's mastication. But another episode. But let's assume we get the kissing thing worked out. And now we're actually on the date, right? So a big issue is baggage. How do you reveal your history? How do you talk about, and do you smile through that, or do you dump that right out there? Or I imagine you guys have both experienced it both ways.
Yes. Well, Jacalyn and I have talked about this before. I mean, was trained years ago in relationship coaching for singles with a guest. We had Cheryl Spangler, who's a matchmaker down in North Carolina. She and I did it together. She pursued it professionally. I did not, but I learned a lot. And, from a readiness perspective, I like to regard, instead of baggage, I like to regard our histories as texture. So it's the smoother it is, the easier it is to move forward. So legal matters, any debts, they should all be cleared up. But personal unresolved issues that could leak into the relationship, like, for example, gentlemen and women who are still separated, there's a process of extraction from a marriage, and then there's the bridge person to transition to the online or the dating world again. You have phases that you need to get through, and some people they need to understand where they are and then comply with that. For example, I would never go out with a man who was still separated, because he's got lots of itches to scratch yet. There's a lot of discovery that comes the first time you've begun dating after a marriage again. You've got to learn what you like at this time, because chances are it's not what you like now and who you like now is not what you did when you first got married.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
What about dating after you're in your later years in life? That's different than when you're younger, right?
I mean, I think so. I know for myself. I mean, I had 3 kids to raise solo. So when they were old enough to understand, I said, you like to have friends over. Well, I like to be with friends my age too. You know how when you guys shut the door and kind of play and watch TV. Well, I like to do that with somebody my age. So I told them it was kind of like trying on a new coat. I said, the only way you can tell if a coat's going to fit you is if you try it on. I said, some of them wash really well and last a long time, and other ones fall apart after one washing. I mean, it was an analogy that a younger kid could understand, but I know I kept my phone on the table. I was fully transparent in the beginning to say, hey, listen, I'm a single mom. My kids are okay alone, or they've got a babysitter or whatever. But if they call, I'm going to pick up the phone just as a preemptive strike to say, here's my priority. Here's where I am. If you like it, great. If you don't, if that's a problem, well, move on. But it's different once you get older. Sometimes older kids can still get into the mix. I mean, I know one couple who they got along really well, but their kids didn't like the partner, and they ran so much interference that this couple eventually broke up.
Wow.
So
there's a lot that goes into the whole thing. Now, what about the 3-date rule? We've heard different people's opinions about this.
The guideline or the rule?
Well, we had Janice Spindell on, Janice and Carly Spindell, and they are the matchmakers. They've got a global presence, and they said they absolutely require that their clients go on 3 dates. And I had said, I think it's a 1 date, one and done. She said, absolutely not. That's selfish. It's not fair to the person. So let's start with, let's go to Mr. Cini from a man's perspective.
You know, I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. I mean, if you have a bad time, you pretty much have to trust what you just learned and not do it again. I don't know that. So their advice is you have to do 3 dates, even if the first date is such a disaster that you feel like the next 2 are silly.
Yeah. So for the guy friends you have who are single and looking to meet someone, do they ever talk about a 3-date rule?
I've heard the 3-date rule, but it has nothing to do with being mannerly. It has to do with when you're hopping in the sack. So I remember one guy, he was kind of obnoxious. I said, I subscribe to the 3-date rule. And he said, you do? I said, I sure do. I said, but each date is 6 months apart. He melted with disappointment.
So that's the 3-date rule.
Check, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's whether or not you give a person another chance. If it's not just 1 date, you go on 3 dates. And then if you do go on the 3rd date, does it get physical? Sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And the 3rd date that Janice is talking about, I was thinking about that. In Janice Spindell's case, she and her daughter are actually vetting men and vetting women and using their long experience to make matches. So my guess is that in that case, since there's a substantial investment by the gentleman, that maybe it's worth under those circumstances to give it a second try and a third. But for the rest of us who are just trying to figure it out on our own, I mean, I've had times when I simply know this is not going to move forward after hour 1, and you politely finish your coffee or your meal or whatever, and then shake hands and part ways. But I don't feel obliged to have 3 tries to determine that something's not going to go forward. Do you, Jacalyn?
Well, I got admonished by Janice and I think maybe Cheryl, because I'm basically the chemistry's there or it's not there, and that's it.
I agree, though.
I mean, if you go out with somebody and it doesn't work out, and you both kind of agree that it wasn't a great experience, and then one of them calls the other afterward and says, maybe I was off a little bit that night, maybe I didn't project myself the way I should, I want to apologize, could we give it another try? I think you could consider it.
That's different.
But just to put yourself through it 3 times, I mean, it's kind of just strikes me as kind of dumb.
Now, there are cases where you can meet someone and there's not chemistry, but you'd want to be really good friends with them. And sometimes they're open to that. And sometimes they're like, no, I don't want to waste any time with a female friend. I want to actually find someone.
I've had that go both ways. I had one guy say, listen, I'm really sorry, but I'm not looking for friends, so I'd rather not talk to you again. I've taken your number out of my book. And I said, okay, works for me. I wasn't offended. It was fine. And I've had others where we are buddies to this day. It just was one of those people who I would never otherwise have met unless we were online. But for whatever reason, we were just intended to be friends, and we're good with that, both of us.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a good way to network because that's not the purpose of it. But if you spend time with somebody and you think that they are a quality person and you really want to have them in your life, but you just aren't interested in dating, it's nice to be able to talk about it and say, listen, I wish you the best, but I really think that there's something here in terms of a friendship.
Yeah.
That could develop.
Yep. I think so.
Yeah. So what about the male point of view, Mr. Cini?
The male point of view on...
Well, did you ever see the movie When Harry Met Sally? And I just quoted this in my last interview.
Yeah.
The movie When Harry Met
Wasn't
Sally.
that like the 4,500 date rule? I mean, by the time they got it worked out, wasn't that a relationship that stretched over, what, 3 decades?
It stretched over time, but Billy Crystal said that men and women can't be friends because the problem is the sex always gets in the way.
Always gets in the middle. I don't believe that. We're friends.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's silly. I just think that's silly, and there's no point to that. I think it's certainly possible, especially in a modern world where we're all equal with each other, that we will be working together, and that's just a fact of life. It's the way it is. I mean, I think you could meet people at work, and it could evolve into a relationship, but that's a boundary you cross. Before that boundary, you're not thinking about that. I just don't see that as entering into it at all.
I agree. I have longtime male friends who it never came up, and I don't anticipate that it ever would. We're just buddies, and it's fine.
What, did you meet them on a dating service?
A couple of them I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get together and with any regularity, but we could pick up the phone and chit chat as if no time had passed. So sometimes that's just the way it goes.
I mean, if at some point in the relationship, if somebody wants to say to the other person, I have different feelings for you than just professional feelings, you could probably do that, I guess, and then see where that conversation goes. But that's the boundary that you're crossing, and you're doing it intelligently, mindfully. You're not sneaking across it. You're walking across it. I mean, what do your matchmaker friends say? I know you recently had a program where you interviewed professional matchmakers. What's their take on all this? Is their attitude that you really can't find a good match unless you use a matchmaker? I know that's what they do for a living.
Well, so I learned this, and Lisa, you have way more experience in this professionally, but I learned that a matchmaker's role is to get people married. So, and the Spindels really clarified that's their goal, to have
not dating.
Not dating, to find matches. And they said over 4,000 couples that have been married as a result of the matchmaking they've done.
Wow.
Yeah, they are actually looking to find their gentleman clients a wife. And they'll go across the globe looking.
And they do a better job vetting the couples before they introduce them to each other than, let's say, eHarmony does or Match.com does?
Well, yes, because they're personally involved in it. They actually do mock dates. So the mother and daughter go on a mock date with the gentleman client to determine whether or not they're going to take him as a client.
Oh, really? Okay. Just to kind of like a pre-interview sort of a thing.
Well, they want to see his behavior. They want to see how he acts. Does he drink too much? Does he have his phone out? Does he talk while he's eating? Those types of things. But
did they do that for the woman too, or is it just the guy?
Only men are their clients. Women are in their database where they can draw from. However, and there's they vet the women too. It's a much smaller fee, but the gentlemen are their clients. And I think the starting price, as I recall from their website, is $25,000.
So it's a serious commitment. Obviously, you're going to plunk down a number like that. You're not kidding, and they aren't either.
Right. So, and my friend Cheryl down in North Carolina is an online dating concierge. So although she has done matchmaking, one of her services is to usher people through the online dating process to keep it safe. It's nice to have an objective opinion from someone who's in your corner, looking out for you, can recognize scamming language, because that's a whole nother zone. You know, when people are making themselves out to be someone else and then start up with this hard luck story that they've traveled and lost their wallet and could you wire money? I mean, that happens. So someone who's skilled in the language and the process can help those who are timid to move through it more comfortably. But that's for dating.
That actually kind of sheds a light on the 3-date rule that you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, before. They found this couple. They believe this couple is good for each other. If the first date doesn't go well, they're not going to give up. they're gonna keep working with that couple and try to find out what might have gone wrong, so that whatever it is that's underneath that they think is the raw material that's good to work with doesn't get buried under all that craziness of the dating scene. So they stick with you, I guess. They make sure that that works, or that you work through that.
At least 3 times, I think. But
yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's different from you giving them another chance. In a way, what they're doing really is kind of keeping you in play, so that you really get to know each other before you make that decision. After that commitment of time and money, they want to make sure that you've got it right.
Right. And I recommend that always. When you can meet somebody where it's this wild fireworks and chemistry and zing, 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 and it lasts for a very short while, you can be incredibly attracted to a person who is all wrong for you. So chemistry is not only exclusive to somebody who's right for you. And the problem is, if you move too quickly in the physical zone, you can get truly physiologically bonded to somebody who's really bad for you. So that's why it's a really good idea. And I know in the training that we had way back when, they recommend that you keep the body parts out of the heavy duty stuff out of the mix so you can keep your head clear. And then
you've got to know that you can like each other, not just be crazy about each other.
Yes, and that you have more in common than less, because when you somebody who doesn't have a lot in common with you can be exciting and adventurous, but once the initial crazies, the goo chemical stuff slows down a little bit, you certainly don't want to say, you go to the party and I'll just stay back and read. Then you're going to not be sharing interests that are mutually enjoyable for you both, and your relationship can suffer if one person wants company and the other doesn't. So I say more like you than not to the point where you're dating yourself or a clone.
Okay.
But you have shared interests and shared values.
Now, what about this, Miss Manyoky? You get a phone call and you hear you've been selected to be the next person on The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. You're going to be either the woman who's looking for the man. You're going to be one of all these women vying for, what would you say?
Me?
You.
Absolutely not.
Call is coming. What are you going to do?
My gosh. I know too much about those shows. There's so many rules and regulations. It's too affected. I wouldn't do it, but.
And by the way, how unrealistic are those programs really? I mean, you've got people out there that are looking for somebody. They watch a program like that. How distorted a view of what dating is like do they get from watching programs like that?
Well, if you think about, these people are going. These shows have been on for years, right? People get the call and they go. They audition, I guess, and they've got to go through all the hoops. But what about the fact that you see one moment the guy or the woman is making out with one person, and then later on, a couple hours, they're with somebody else, and then on, and then they're in that suite? I don't know.
Well, when we were trained, they recommend in the beginning to date multiple people at one time. And I used to compare it to if you're hungry and you open up your cabinets and the only thing you have is rice, you're going to eat rice. But if you have rice and you have some meat,
you might try a little bit of this with that.
Then you're going to pick what you really want instead of pick what you just have. So in order to, when you feel like this is the only opportunity I have, I better keep it. I'm not going to get anything better or anyone better, and I'll just stay here, even though there are things I don't like or things that I find really disagreeable. In order to just for the sake of variety and compare and contrast, so that you really get clear, dating people and being transparent about it. None of the sneaky stuff that says, "Oh my gosh, I only date you," but to actually mix it up a little bit so that you can really get to know somebody and pass the first date fumbles and get to see them in an environment that maybe they're stressed, maybe they're hungry, maybe they're angry. I remember listening to one guy. I'd known him for a while. I heard him yell at his kid in the back seat, and it was vulgar. And I said, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "My son." That was it. I didn't want to be with anybody who could speak to their child with such language as he did to this kid. For me, that was it.
Wait a minute. This guy actually had you on a cell phone call.
Yeah. He was
without muting the phone. He acted like an idiot with his child.
Terrible.
And you listen into the whole thing.
I said, who, he started yelling, and I said, "Who is that?" He said, "I'm talking to my kid." He was in the back seat. And I said, wow, I never want to be with somebody who could address their child.
Unless this kid was 32 and in a car seat, which would be a whole other conversation. But
yikes.
It's just so weird.
I've seen adult children be very disrespectful to their father. That's
I've seen that too.
I don't like that.
A lot of us have seen that. I mean, that's
not in a routine way where it's like,
I
know. My kids don't talk to me like that.
Well, so I guess for the people that might be watching or listening, I guess what they're looking to do is pick up little bits of advice here and there. Your advice is that Match.com is an okay place to go. It's not a horror story. I mean, you can get some funny stories out of it, but Match.com, eHarmony.com, whichever one of those services you choose are not bad alternatives for meeting people.
I mean, they do make matches. People do meet on those services.
They do. So, I mean, they're not a waste. They're an idea for people who might be considering that. And same-sex couples can use these services too.
Absolutely. Anyway, by the way, we're not paid sponsors for any of these.
No,
right. So yeah, we're not. It's not like we're trying to pitch any of them. We're not recommending them, but there are places that you can go to meet people if you're looking for a way to meet people. That's not a bad way to get started. But your first date shouldn't be dinner. I mean, I hear this all the time from guys I know. You want it to be coffee. You want to meet over coffee. You don't want to commit to 8 courses.
I don't drink coffee. And I don't want to meet someone at Starbucks. I would rather meet over a meal.
Me too.
Because I'm hoping, and again, I'm not dating anyone. I'm not interested in dating at this moment. But at the time, I would like to have a personal connection with someone. And if it doesn't work out in terms of the chemistry's not there, maybe you still have a nice conversation with somebody who you could be friends with.
So maybe breakfast at a diner or lunch someplace rather than a big official dinner.
I've done dinners.
Place to get started.
I've done dinners. It depends on the person. I mean, if you've had a really good conversation where you're pretty certain that the conversation on the phone is going to migrate well to in person, then I'm okay with dinner. But if it's not, I just want to give myself an out, where it's just a cocktail or something. But you can also get to see how they treat a server, which is a lot. There's a lot of information.
That's actually
very true.
If they treat the waiter or waitress badly.
I mean, the guy, we talked really well. I mean, he left. We were at a diner for a couple of hours, and he left a $3 tip, and I was like, "Oh, that was not cool." I mean, and I waited until he was out of the parking lot, and I went back in.
And you went back in and gave him more money. You gave him more money or whatever. I know. I've been there. I know what that's like.
That's not nice.
And that's another question, though. If you get to the end of one of those breakfast, lunch, dinner meetings, who picks up the check? How do you handle who pays?
We've talked about this before too.
Yeah. But I don't think we have it worked out yet.
No.
If I know that I don't want to see the person again, I always offer. I'll say, listen, I joke around. I say, want some money, honey? Can I chip in? I do make that offer.
Okay.
So if you go out with Lisa and she offers to pay the check, it's
the last
there are 5,000 people on Facebook taking notes.
No, but it depends. I mean, if I've never had a gentleman ask me to pay ever, but I do offer, and if not the first time, then I offer. If we're going to go out again, I offer up the road to do something or.
She's frozen again.
That may be generational too. People, millennials, I think when they go out are expecting a more 50-50 kind of a thing.
That's what I've heard.
Maybe we are. I think we have a more traditional view of men and women in relationships than they do. Maybe. So,
I have a story I wanted to share about a dating service. I'm not going to mention any names, but I think this was after I got divorced. They had a package, and the package was $1,600. And for the $1,600, they would introduce you to, I forget what the number of men that, they have your background, they have their background, et cetera. So they give you one free try before you actually have to pay the $1,600. So I went into the office, and the woman's interviewing me and getting all the information. And during the interview, I see her shoe fall off onto the ground, and she starts playing with her foot. And I'm looking over and I'm thinking, is she really playing with her foot right now? Like that is, and I'm thinking, there's no way she's going to represent me when that's, she's being unprofessional in front of me. So long story short, I said, I'm just going to overlook that. So I'm going to see what she comes up with. So she has 2 people in mind immediately. And she tells me she thinks they're going to be perfect for me. Well, she said the one has a lot of time. And I said, well, why is that? And she said, well, he's been unemployed for a couple of years. He just can't find any work. And I was like, okay.
So he's very available.
Right. But that's why he has
marketing, by the way.
Yeah,
he's very available.
He's very available. And the other one didn't speak English. So I didn't think that either one of them was going to be any good. So I didn't give the $1,600, and that was
I guess not. But that was I can't believe that was their first impression. That was as good as it got with them.
Well, probably because the group of people they had as clients was very small.
Yeah, I think I used that service too, Jacalyn. And the guy that they introduced me to was a raging alcoholic. I mean, he drank a lot and called a lot when he was drinking, and I was bent. I thought, this was spent. I think there were 6 dates they promised you.
That sounds right.
Yes, and they claimed that they knew you and they were going to match you, and it did not happen.
See, now this gets me to another question I'm dying to know the answer to. Okay, it's not working. You have to break up. I mean, you're not even together, really. All you've done is try each other out. But somebody's got to reject somebody, ultimately, right? Somebody's going to feel rejected. Somebody's doing the rejecting. What kind of fallout, how juvenile do people get after they've been rejected?
I got pictures of body parts once from a guy. He insisted that I call him his girlfriend. We had never even met. I said, I'm not going to call you, Sam, your girlfriend. I haven't met you yet. And he started sending me some pretty rude pictures of body parts. I had another one send me probably a 12 or 13 paragraph analysis of my inability to commit. And I'm like, what? I just don't want to go out with you, buddy.
Commit to you.
Woo. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, analysis. It was like a psychological analysis of my flaws after, I think we went out a few times. It's weird.
I went out with someone for an hour and a half and got a 3-part text that was on and on and on about all the things about me that are absolutely horrible. And the person doesn't even know they had me. We sat for a meal for an hour and a half, and they asked me out. They told me they were crazy about me. So I think that it is difficult, but once you've dated enough and you have enough confidence in yourself, just to break it off, because you're actually saving the other person time. You're saving yourself time, and you're saving the other person time so that they can go find who they're meant to be with, and same thing for you.
Yep. Don't prolong the agony. Yep.
And the advice to people who might be out in the dating world is expect to be rejected. It's going to happen. It's likely to happen, and grow up. I mean, just grow up.
Exactly. Unless you could say don't take it personally, but it feels personal. But the reality is you don't want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you. Period.
Pretty much. I mean, you really don't. And there's no way you're ever going to be able to cycle back and fix it by pushing on it. It's not the kind of thing that applying pressure is going to solve.
No.
So if you do have another chance with whoever that is, you're going to have to do it intelligently and as an adult, and not as a child, because otherwise there will be no second chance.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe we've done a couple of thousand people out there a little bit of good, because I think that is. I just don't think people have realistic expectations about relationships, especially when they're subjected to The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and a lot of the stuff that we put on television that completely misrepresent the whole process.
Well, but the other thing too is technology makes it easy to be rude. So I say if you don't want to be with somebody, just ghosting them, where you just disappear without explanation. Mm-hmm. I mean, there have been times where I forgot to get in touch with someone, and they said, I guess you lost interest. I said, oh no, I might have inadvertently deleted a text or whatever, but never on purpose. It's always kind to say, hey, listen, I just don't feel it, or I think that we've discovered there are some differences that are not reconcilable, so I'd like to move on here. There's no reason to be mean or rude. It's so easy to be kind and to just disappear and leave the other person hanging. Or if you start getting multiple texts and the person, just respond and just say, hey, listen, I think we're best. Good luck in your search. Let's call it. At least let them know, just to shut down the show, because that's just kind.
That's sensible. Right. That's a kind thing to do. That's a nice way to go. I know you're coming up on the end of the program, and
yes.
But I do want to say there's something else that I think you learn from this conversation, and that is saying things by text and saying things by email means that there's now a permanent record of you being a total juvenile idiot.
Yep.
Do you really want somebody to have on their phone forevermore proof that you are just too immature to handle it? And which means you just don't communicate that way. If you've got anything bad to say it in person if you feel you have to, but never, I don't think ever in writing that. I think that's just such bad form.
Yes, I totally agree. I've got a phone over here that's got some messages on it. So.
You still have proof of people that you've met who prove to you the people they are, and you're carrying that phone around with you as a permanent reminder of it.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's crazy to do that. So I hope people are listening at least to that.
Yep. But it's a new year, so we can all start fresh.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. We can close out.
Happy New Year. Happy 2021.
Look toward bright horizons and new people with a good attitude. And
for Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, and I'm absolutely 100% sure it's going to be a terrific 2021.
I think so.
I know it.
And tomorrow, Miss Manyoky, you're joining me, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents the 2021 Wealth of Health event, Part 2. And I want to personally thank Lisa and also Elise for going the distance. Lisa was there till 8 o'clock. We started, what time did we start? 2?
2.
And Elise Banker was there till 7, which is unbelievable. So we are giving people the opportunity to present for 15 minutes, something to help our audience set an intention and a focus for 2021. So we will be live streaming starting tomorrow. And I think
must be this, the weather here is awful.
Hate when that happens. It froze.
It might be weather.
Yeah, what time is it starting tomorrow?
It starts at 12 and it goes until 6. And people are going to be coming in and out of the stream. And we have some really great people there, business experts, business leaders, change agents, people that are just really caring about other people and wanting to help people set an intention and a focus. So I hope you join us here tomorrow, same place, same time.
Yesterday's program
was
not
great. Same time, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, 12 o'clock. Yesterday's program was great, so they definitely should watch and listen.
Well, thank you. And before we leave, I want to play a new clip that we have for one of our presenters tomorrow. Her name is That's Body on Fire, Lindsay Martinez. She's going to be leading us tomorrow in an at-home, how to work out at home, and also some tips for better health. She gave some really good tips for part 1, and she's going to come back and do a home workout with us. So we've got that. Lisa's going to be back doing her presentation, which we can't wait. Are you doing Presence Intelligence?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
Terrific program.
Yes. So
Great.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Whatever you're doing to celebrate. I know I'll be asleep by 8 probably, but be safe, be happy, and
Merry New Year.
Yes, let's look forward to 2021. I can't wait.
Definitely.
Sounds good.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
My stomach issues make me want to stay home, but that's not an option. No matter how prepared I am, I still feel nervous. Enough is enough.
If this sounds familiar, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation can offer you support and connect you with a specialist.
Don't keep your symptoms to yourself. Get help at spillyourguts.org today.